So I know not a lot of people actually know that the finalized rules are out for the Deadman Summer Invitational. So a lot of the rules that were carried over from the season, like swapping and muling, are both bannable offenses. Dragons now drop double the amount of bones. These were both carried over from the season. All of the higher tier fishing spots are going to yield 3 times the amount of fish. All random unnoted herb drops from NPCs are now doubled. I actually quite enjoy that one. It's going to make herb lore kind of fun. Along with the specialty table for the new Deadman drop table. Basically what this is every time you kill an NPC, you have a chance of landing on an extra drop table to give you like unfinished potions, secondary ingredients, or the more rare table you can actually get finished potions, which allows you to get stamina potions like within the first hour, which would be honestly pretty awesome. The giant mole now drops double the amount of claws and hides, which I don't think changes much because normally in the tournament the bird's nests are not exactly the prized after ingredient for Sardaman brews. It's actually toad flax, and now that there's going to be double the amount of bird's nests in the game, toad flax are going to be worth even more than nests. Barrow's drop table still has these secondary ingredients and unfinished potions. I think they even drop like brews and restores, ranging potions, staminas, etc. The restocking speed of the stores has been substantially increased. Now, we saw this 2 seasons ago, or 3 seasons ago actually. They implemented it. As soon as it gets down to about 500 arrows or 5 rune packs, it'll instantly restock this stock to full, which is definitely good for the tournament because it's usually out of stock for most people. Players will have the ability to lock and unlock XP gain. This is completely useless for the tournament as there's no XP cap, so it's redundant. Alzea House Favor is set to 100%. Now, this is actually quite nice because there is a Runelight feature for the Arceus house. When you're searching for the teleport to teleport you right into the statue of Karend, now you don't need the favor to do it. All you need to do is go find the scroll and read it. Now, if you toggle the Architectural Alliance tab on Runelight, it'll actually show you exactly where it is. It'll tell you what floor and what shelf to search. Now, I'm usually rank 1 Slayer every tournament and every season, so this kind of kills me because this is how I stay ahead, but every player now has the bigger and badder Slayer perk unlocked from the very start. Now, if you get lucky with tasks, you will get points, and every time you get a bigger and badder Slayer monster, it will actually give you 10 times the amount of the 07 XP. So if you kill a Bloodveld, you get about 4,100 experience, but if you kill one on Deadman mode, you get about 41,000 experience. So it's really overpowered. They also have, I don't know if it's on here, but with the bigger and badder Slayer perk, there is actually, every time you kill a superior Slayer monster, you are guaranteed to hit on this table right here with highly sought after supplies. So that's going to change the game quite a bit. Pyramid tops found on the agility pyramid will turn to cash upon death, so there is no more muling, which might change the economy a tiny bit, but I doubt it. PKers are just going to get richer. Tome of Fire I think is pretty redundant. It might give you a few extra mage bonus here and there, but I don't see a reason why people would use it. As Ancients is unlocked, automatically as long as you do the quests. Burnt pages as well, they doubled the amount of pages, but they're still just as rare. Mysterious emblems are now worth double the number of points when traded in, which is fantastic, because it reduces the number of emblems you need from 24 to 12 when buying a rune pouch, meaning a lot more people are going to have the rune pouch for the end. But they're still going to be worth quite a bit, because if you get an emblem, say, let's go a half an hour in, The mysterious emblem can be traded in for 100 bounty hunter points. A rune arrow costs about 600 points. So with 100,000 points, if you divide that by 600, it's about 170 rune arrows from one emblem drop, which is very, very overpowered for PKing on the first day. So that might actually be something that's worth doing. Something to note is that the starter packs will be available. You obviously get the starter staff, which contains 500 fire strikes. You get the starter bow, which has about 2,500 arrows. And you have a sword equivalent to a mithril scimitar that does not degrade at all. So that is quite nice. They cannot be used in PvP. When this was originally released, there was actually a 30-minute immunity to prevent PKing, and that's why you couldn't use them in PvP. Now, in the tournament, we are assuming that there is not going to be immunity, simply because they stated this right here, but they did not say anything about the immunity, so there still is going to be PKing within the first half an hour. Pickpocketing in safe zones will yield no loot as within the season. This is wonderful news because Rot usually bots the Knights of Ardrune. They have like 30 fucking bots going, and they just sit there and make a bunch of money to buy runes all day long. Previously, when you were doing Wilderness Slayer, you could get assigned lava dragons, which was kind of terrible considering the drop table was removed, so the only drop you could get from lava dragons was a 1 in 45 mysterious emblem. Now that really sucked considering the fact that it is a terrible task for XP because they take so long to kill. They are very high defense to range and melee, so the best way to do it would be like Fire Strike or something. It is quite nice to see them removed because one tournament I actually decided to be a little risky and bring my entire cannon out to there, and I had to waste about 2,000 cannonballs killing a task of 60 lava dragons, and I only got one emblem, so that sucked. Now about the final hour, normally after 3 minutes while you're inside the fight, if you can last 3 minutes, that is when the fog would actually start to hit people in the arenas. So normally it would have been like 4 damage every second or every tick or whatever it was, but now they've halved that and they've only made it for 2s. So it's more of a skill-based fight towards the end, because if you get a freeze, you get a couple blood barrages here and there, it could completely change the fight. As soon as you get into the final 128, they have actually increased the duration of the 1v1 banking phase to 10 minutes. Now this is where you can swap your spellbooks to do Vengeance, or if you originally went Vengeance, you could switch to Barrage if you've done the quests, obviously, or normals. I don't know why someone would go on normals, but this would also help you redo your inventory, grab your final hour gear, stock up on more brews, restores, super combat, range pot, whatever you needed, and even switch runes out of your rune pouch, etc., etc. So these last two right here are like anti-DDoS mechanisms. As we know, Rot loves to DDoS people in the final hour. So at the discretion of Jagex, I want to make that very clear, at the discretion of Jagex, they are allowing temporary login after a player logs out during the permadeath stage. So if you make it to the final 128 players, they will actually be monitoring like disconnections and DDoSes and stuff like that. So if a player just logs out, they're not going to let someone win by just being like, oh, well, the other player logged out. Guess there's nothing we can really do. Now they're actually going to, at the discretion of them, they are going to allow the player to log back in to compete, which means they would completely like stall out the permadeath stage. And that's where this last one comes in. Allow the first section of the permadeath stage to be paused at the discretion of Jagex. Now, I assume that at the first section, that means the first fight. So if someone disconnects within their first fight, it can be paused at the discretion of Jagex. Now, that's not saying that after your first fight that this will happen again. I think that's where this one comes in, after your first fight. This one's for the first fight, that's for every other fight. And, yeah, that looks like all the rules. Obviously, all this stuff, the time protection, the XP gain, this has all been the exact same since it actually started. I do want to note the change, the Deadman drops and resources. This is referring to the table where you can get highly sought after supplies right there. Right there, superior Slayer creatures will have a guaranteed chance. In barrows, there's also a chance to obtain potions and potion ingredients regarding herbs and secondaries. For potions, there's a half chance of gaining a stack of 3 4-dose potions when you roll in the barrow's armor table. Now, this does not replace the barrow's item that you were originally going to receive, so there's no need to panic on that. They are usually either ranging potions, super restores, sorrow brews, or super combat potions, so they're not going to like give you 3 anti-fires or some stupid shit like that. There's a small chance of obtaining potion ingredients on the normals barrows table, which is kind of shitty. It gives you like 12 red spider eggs, or 5 wines of Zamorak. It's nothing crazy. I don't know, I think it's a terrible update, but they decided to put it in. You can get a single 4-dose brew if you dare try to kill any of the wilderness bosses. You can get a 1 in 5 chance of getting a 4-dose brew off the demi bosses, which most people don't bother killing Scorpio or the Chaos Fanatic, but they might kill the Crazy Archaeologist in the first day 4 rune crossbow drops. As everyone knows, it has a 5 in 128 chance of dropping 2 rune crossbows, and they go for quite a lot of money. This is all the stuff that's already been updated, but I think that covers about everything that was in this tournament. It starts on the 23rd, so on Saturday. Right now it is currently Thursday at 4 a.m., so it starts in about 2 days at 8 a.m. Eastern. Now it will end on the 30th. Right here, we'll run until Saturday, 30th of June. It says 7:30 BST, which translates to 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. So that's something to look forward to. Right after the final hour is ended and the permadeath stage is over, the season will actually begin. So hopefully we'll see some of you guys there.